Hi, I'm Shay Pierce. Who wants to talk about game development? All right. This talk is called Iteration at Hyperspeed. It's about how I abused Google spreadsheets to save a lot of time for our designers on a project. I'm Shay Pierce. All you need to know about me is that I make games, and I'm a little addicted to productivity, as I realized while reliving the events I'm going to go over here. All right, this game is called Awesome Eats. I made it last year as a freelancer for a group called Fun Machine. Fun Machine is a bunch of veterans of Disney and Midway and other cool companies. It's an action puzzler for iOS. We made it in Unity. I was the only programmer on at least part of the project we're going to talk about, developing all the gameplay, prototyping the gameplay. I didn't take it fully to launch, but yeah, we were a small team. While I was on it, it was one programmer, me, a designer, Neil Delancey, and an artist. So as the only programmer on the project, I was, of course, also the tools programmer for the project. I had to make a tool so that Neil, our designer, could tweak all the values and numbers in the game. It's really good when games are data-driven heavily, and the designers have the ability to change all the numbers in the game, script things in the game. By the way, where's my time guy? Right there. All right. To tweak all the numbers in the game. All right, so they had in their spec for the game, when they talked to me about the contract project, making an interface inside the game, to allow Neil to change all the numbers in the game without leaving the game, which I really, really like, except for the part of creating an interface and the part about like tracking all that data on the server so it was consistent on everyone's games. We could all test with the same numbers. I thought maybe there's an easier way to save me time, since my time was precious, and still save Neil a lot of time. So I said, why don't we take Google Spreadsheets? I'd actually done this, tried it on a side project, hadn't tried it in Unity. So Google Spreadsheets has the capability to take any of the data in a spreadsheet, and serve it as XML. A game can just connect to an URL and get all the data from your spreadsheet as XML. XML is easily digested and parsed by code, and data is easily entered into a spreadsheet by a human being. And that was something really good. It meant the game could connect, parse that XML at startup, and at any time while playing the game, you could just press a button, it would go reload the spreadsheet, get the new data if it had changed, and you could just keep playing the game without relaunching it and see all those changes. So is this, some engineers would call this abusing Google Spreadsheets and using it in a way that was never meant to be used, and that being kind of hacky. And I would call it abusing Google Spreadsheets and using it in a way it was never meant to be used, and that being awesome. And the reason it was awesome is that Neil told me a story once. He was sitting at his son's Taekwondo tournament and kind of bored out of his mind, but he was able to pull out the game that we were developing, play a level in it, and realize the level needed to be rebalanced, some numbers needed to be tweaked. He was able to just open Safari on his phone, go to the spreadsheet, change a couple numbers, go right back to the app, didn't even need to relaunch it, reload the level, and he's playing with a rebalanced level. He's able to work anywhere and work very quickly and agilely, which may not be a word. But for a small team working with very limited resources, that kind of agility and ability to get work done anywhere is invaluable. It saved me time working on tools. Neil was very productive. And the best part of this that I like is I think game developers' workflows need to have really tight turnaround time. Your time to iterate needs to be really, really low because there's a concept called the psychological theory of flow, of if you can get into that loop where you're seeing the results of your changes within a few seconds instead of a few minutes or so, you're really going to enter the state where you can be very, very hyper-productive, and that's actually a fun state to be in, a very creative state, and I think that when you're having fun making the game, it carries over into the end product and makes the game better. All right, so you get a lot for free. So we had this up and running within a week, which was great, again, on a small, tiny team and project. That was fantastic to have. And we were able to just continually add functionality to this system. Google Docs gives you a interface, again, that humans can use. Excuse me. Can do data validation to make sure that typos can't be entered into certain fields. You get a revision history for free, which can be invaluable. You can collaboratively edit if multiple designers are on your team and they need to change the data in that spreadsheet at the same time. Google totally supports that. It even lets you chat with other people editing the spreadsheet at the same time. You can set security on the spreadsheet itself, and even now on particular fields. You can color code stuff as much as you need. If you look at the screenshot, Neil has organized all his data so you can kind of parse it easier. And Sarah Jensen-Schubert has given talks multiple times here at IGDA about how productive she can be with spreadsheets. They're a powerful tool. Formulas, for instance, are not something we actually used, but you could do a lot in letting the designers define the formulas that define your gameplay right in the spreadsheet and change them whenever they want. So there's some gotchas. Obviously, you're dependent on Google server uptime, but you can always bring in a system to cache the XML, and that's the data that we launched this game with last year. Google's XML output is really verbose. It has all kinds of text in there you don't need. You can strip it down, though, is a solution to that. There's a weird caveat to it. If you have this spreadsheet and there's a blank row, it won't serve up any of the data under that row as XML, so be on the lookout for that if you ever try this. You also have to look out for Flash and Unity and other platforms like that doing security checks. They'll check a cross-domain.xml file. Our solution for that was simply to have a PHP proxy that wouldn't access Google for us and actually kind of bypassed that security. Of course, the interface to edit it isn't in the game, but that's a good thing in some ways. Neil could sit at his PC and edit the data on his spreadsheet on this PC while running the game and just hitting refresh every time he changed something. But he could also do it right on the phone. So one thing, I made a similar point in my last talk here, which was about prototyping, which is usually, and I think this is an important principle when working on a small team or this type of environment. Think about what you would do if you had infinite resources, and then ask yourself, what's that ideal solution? And then how can I get 80% of the value of that while putting in only 20% of the effort? And ideally, leaving yourself open to scale up later to that 100% of the value solution. And that's what we did here, and that's something that a way I would encourage people to think and a rule of thumb to follow. This was really useful while prototyping. Neil could twist every knob in the game, change the number around, find what was fun. It was really useful in production. Neil could script levels and just create entire levels. Our levels were pretty simple in this game. I won't go into what the game was, but it was basically he could script events in a simple array of numbers. You can always balance units, and even for a live product, although it may be a little risky or seem a little risky, it can be useful to just put up new data, and never underestimate the value on an iOS game of being able to fix bugs in content just by changing a number on a server somewhere instead of having to go through Apple's week or more approval process. That can be a big killer. Closing thoughts, sweet dreams are made of this, seeing results instantly. I do really believe in tight iteration everyone should look at their workflow if you're developing games and ask, can you see the results of your changes within a few seconds? And if not, can you change your workflow to achieve that? You'll be so much more productive. And when someone provides you a simple and flexible tool, use it and abuse it. And do that for yourself and do that for the tools that you're creating for your team. Here's a few plugs. Awesome Eats is the game. I made it with Fun Machine, a group of good friends. I also made Connect Road, which has nothing to do with any of this, but I'm going to plug it. I'm on Twitter, and you can probably find the slides for this talk, and I might post a few more details about how we did this on my blog at deepplaid.com. I should mention Fun Machine also did a lot more with the system after I stopped working on the project and made the mistake of moving to another job last year. And they have some really cool stuff they've done with it. But that's all from me. I'm out of time.